High above Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Drake of the Draconian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Flame. His scaled hands clasped behind his back as he studied the blue planet below. The massive viewscreen showed a world that, according to their initial scans, should have been impossible to harbor intelligent life. Impossible, he muttered, his forked tongue flicking out in irritation. The gravity is crushing, the atmosphere is corrosive, and the temperature swings are extreme. Yet our long-range scans show cities, vehicles, and primitive spacecraft. His second-in-command, Commander Stone, approached with a data tablet. "Sir, we've detected over 200 major population centers. Their technology level appears to be Class 3, barely capable of reaching their own moon. They would be no match for our fleet." The Draconian Empire had conquered 17 worlds in the past century. Their formula was simple: arrive unexpectedly, demonstrate overwhelming force, and demand surrender. No species had ever successfully resisted. Their biological advantages and superior technology made victory inevitable. "Launch the scout ships," Drake ordered. "I want detailed scans of their military capabilities. These humans may live on a death world, but they're still primitives compared to us. Prepare the standard conquest protocols." As the scout ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere, neither Drake or any member of his crew noticed the small satellites tracking their every move. Deep underground in various military installations around the planet, humans had been watching the alien fleet since it first appeared near Mars 3 days ago. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thompson studied the real-time feed of the alien vessels. Around him, dozens of military officers from nations around the world coordinated their response through encrypted channels. The general's weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the alien scouts begin their descent. "Let them come closer," he spoke into his secure comm link. "All stations maintain communications blackout. Let them think we're primitive and unaware." He paused, allowing himself a grim smile. They chose the wrong planet to invade. The humans had known they weren't alone in the universe for decades. They had detected alien signals, intercepted transmissions, and prepared in secret. While they displayed only primitive spacecraft and technology to the outside world, their true capabilities were hidden away, waiting for this exact moment. The Draconians were about to learn why Earth was classified as a death world. It wasn't just the harsh environment that made it deadly, it was the natives who had evolved to thrive there. Humans hadn't just survived on their challenging world, they had mastered it through ingenuity, determination, and an unmatched capability for warfare. As the scout ships entered the atmosphere, automated defense systems around the globe quietly tracked their trajectories. In military bases, soldiers and pilots waited by advanced aircraft and weapons that no alien scan could detect. In orbital platforms disguised as communication satellites, weapon systems powered up silently. The trap was set. The Draconians thought they were the hunters, but on this death world, they were about to become the prey. The Draconian scout ships pierced through Earth's atmosphere, their advanced hulls glowing red-hot from the entry. Inside the lead vessel, Captain Reed adjusted his breathing apparatus. The planet's oxygen-rich atmosphere was technically poisonous to his species, though survivable with proper equipment. "Scanning complete, sir," his sensor officer reported. "Primitive radar systems detected, but they're too basic to track our stealth technology. We're picking up radio transmissions about entertainment and commerce. No sign they've detected us." Reed's scaled lips curled into what passed for a smile among his kind. These missions were always the same: gather intelligence, demonstrate power, and watch the primitive species crumble in fear. He had participated in 3 such conquests before, and each time, the local species had surrendered within days. Meanwhile, in an underground facility beneath the Australian outback, Major Wilson watched the alien vessels through quantum imaging systems that the Draconians didn't know existed. She spoke quietly into her comm unit, "All stations report ready. Waiting for command." The alien scouts split into 3 groups, each heading toward different population centers, New York, Beijing, and Moscow. They maintained high altitude, clearly conducting detailed scans of military installations and infrastructure. In his command center, General Thompson received real-time updates from global defense networks. Let them complete their initial survey, he ordered. The more confident they become, the better our trap will work. Above Beijing, Reed's scout ship detected something unusual. "Captain," his sensor officer called out, "I'm picking up some strange energy signatures. They don't match any known human technology based on our intelligence." "Probably atmospheric interference," Reed dismissed the concern. "These death worlds often have unusual phenomena. Continue the survey." But the energy signatures were neither natural nor primitive. Hidden within ordinary-looking buildings, quantum pulse generators were powering up. In orbit, disguised satellites shifted their positions by millimeters, forming an invisible web around the alien vessels. General Thompson checked his watch. "All units, prepare to execute Operation Thunderbolt. Remember, we want their flagship to witness this. Give them something to think about." Reed was just completing his scan of Beijing's apparent military capabilities when his ship's sensors screamed in alarm. Energy signatures erupted from dozens of locations simultaneously. Before he could react, invisible quantum beams connected, forming a complex geometric pattern around his vessel. "Impossible," he shouted. "Emergency evasive maneuvers. Full power to shields." But the humans had spent decades preparing for this moment. The quantum web tightened, bypassing the draconian shields as if they didn't exist. Similar scenes played out above New York and Moscow as the other scout ships found themselves trapped. In his flagship, Admiral Drake watched in horror as all 9 scout ships suddenly lost power and began plummeting from the sky. Their emergency beacons activated, broadcasting panic-filled transmissions about weapons that shouldn't exist on a Class 3 world. "Status report," Drake demanded. "What's happening to our scouts?" Commander Stone's scales had paled considerably. "Sir, we're detecting energy weapons far beyond Class 3 technology. The humans, they're not primitive at all. They've been hiding their true capabilities. As the scout ships fell, they didn't crash as expected. Instead, invisible force fields caught them, gently lowering them into massive underground hangars that opened and closed so quickly they seemed to vanish into thin air." General Thompson allowed himself a small smile. Phase 1 complete. All scout ships captured intact, with crews alive for interrogation. Now, let's see how the Draconian Fleet responds to losing their eyes and ears on the ground. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why Earth wasn't just another conquest waiting to happen. Admiral Drake paced the bridge of the Eternal Flame, his clawed feet clicking against the metallic floor. The loss of all 9 scout ships had shaken the confidence of his entire crew. In 3 centuries of Draconian expansion, nothing like this had ever happened. "Launch the fighter squadrons," Drake ordered, his voice carrying a dangerous edge. "I want those facilities bombed into dust. Show these humans what happens when they dare to resist the Empire." Hundreds of Draconian fighters poured from the fleet's hangars, their plasma engines burning bright against Earth's atmosphere. Commander Stone coordinated their attack formation, directing them toward the locations where the scout ships had vanished. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Thompson watched the fighters approach on his quantum displays. "They're reacting exactly as expected," he reported to the Global Defense Council. "All units, prepare for Phase 2. Let's show them what a real death world can do." The Draconian fighters entered the atmosphere in an impressive display of military might. Their weapons were powered up, ready to reduce entire cities to ash. But as they descended through the cloud layer, something strange began to happen. "Sir," a fighter pilot called out in alarm. "My controls aren't responding correctly." The gravity, it's all wrong. Unknown to the Draconians, humans had developed gravity manipulation technology decades ago. Now, hundreds of hidden gravity generators activated simultaneously, creating a complex web of overlapping fields that played havoc with the alien fighters' navigation systems. Major Wilson, coordinating from Australia, gave the order, activate the Aurora network. Suddenly, the sky came alive with shimmering, multicolored lights. To the Draconians, it appeared to be nothing more than a natural phenomenon, similar to Earth's aurora borealis. In reality, it was an advanced electromagnetic weapon system, disguised as a natural occurrence. The aurora-like lights pulsed, and Draconian fighters began dropping from the sky like stones. Their advanced technology, designed to resist conventional weapons, proved useless against Earth's carefully planned defenses. Impossible! Commander Stone shouted, watching as squadron after squadron lost power. They're using the planet's magnetic field as a weapon. This technology is beyond Class 3. Admiral Drake gripped his command chair, scales bristling with rage. Launch the capital ships. All vessels, descend and engage. I want this resistance crushed now. But humanity wasn't finished. As the larger Draconian ships began their descent, General Thompson gave his next order, activate the Poseidon Protocol. The oceans themselves seemed to respond. Massive waves rose up, but instead of water, they were composed of millions of nanomachines that had been hiding in Earth's seas for years. The waves surged upward, forming massive tentacles that reached for the descending Draconian ships. By the Empire! Drake whispered, watching as the nanomachine tentacles wrapped around his ships, interfering with their shields and systems. What kind of death world is this? In military installations worldwide, human forces prepared for the next phase. Advanced fighter craft, hidden in underground bases and underwater facilities, powered up their engines. These weren't the primitive jets the Draconians had detected, they were spacecraft combining human ingenuity with technology reversed engineered from crashed alien vessels over the decades. General Thompson stood, addressing the Global Defense Council. For 50 years, we've prepared for this moment. We've hidden our true capabilities, letting the galaxy think we were primitive. Now, we show them why you don't invade a death world whose inhabitants have turned their harsh environment into an advantage. The first wave of Earth's real defense forces launched, rising from hidden bases across the planet. The Draconian Fleet, already struggling with gravity weapons and nanomachine attacks, was about to face the full might of a species that had evolved on a world that should have killed them, and had grown stronger because of it. The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to teach the galaxy a lesson about underestimating death world species. The space above Earth erupted into chaos as humanity's hidden fleet emerged from their concealed bases. Unlike the primitive rockets the Draconians had observed, these vessels were sleek, advanced craft that combined decades of secret technological development with humanity's unique approach to warfare. Admiral Drake watched in growing horror as black ships seemed to materialize from nowhere, their hulls covered in a material that absorbed both light and sensor scans. How many? He demanded, his scaled hands gripping his command chair. At least 300 vessels, Admiral, Commander Stone reported, his voice shaking. They're using some kind of phase shift technology we've never encountered. Our targeting systems can't lock onto them. In the lead human vessel, the Thunder Child, Captain Rogers directed the assault. Her ship, like all in Earth's hidden fleet, was designed specifically to counter alien technology. All ships, execute Pattern Delta, she ordered. Remember your training. We've been preparing for this our entire careers. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, breaking into smaller groups that attacked the Draconian forces from multiple angles. Their ships employed technology that seemed to defy the laws of physics as the Draconians understood them. What is this? Drake roared as another of his capital ships reported critical system failures. Their weapons aren't just penetrating our shields, they're ignoring them completely. General Thompson, coordinating from his underground command center, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Quantum entanglement weapons, he explained to the Global Defense Council. While they worried about our primitive missiles, we developed weapons that bypass physical defenses entirely. The battle continued to escalate. The Draconian Fleet, still struggling with the nanomachine attacks from below, now found themselves caught between Earth's gravity weapons and the quantum attacks from the human fleet. Ships that had conquered countless worlds were being systematically disabled and captured. "Admiral!" Commander Stone called out in panic. "We're detecting massive energy buildups from the planet's polar regions. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica and the Arctic, massive generators that had been hidden for decades came to life. They began focusing and amplifying Earth's natural magnetic field, turning it into a weapon more powerful than anything the Draconians had ever encountered." Major Wilson's voice came through the Global Command Network, "Polar Array at full power. All ships clear the engagement zone." The human fleet smoothly withdrew to pre-planned positions as twin beams of concentrated electromagnetic energy shot from Earth's poles. The beams curved around the planet, following the magnetic field lines, before converging on the Draconian fleet. "All hands, brace for impact," Drake ordered, but it was too late. The electromagnetic pulse wasn't designed to destroy, it was engineered to disable. Ship after ship in his once mighty fleet went dark, their advanced technology rendered useless by humanity's devastating weapon. Captain Rogers watched from the Thunder Child as the Draconian fleet hung motionless in space. "All ships disabled, General," she reported. "Commencing capture operations." Human vessels moved in, attaching quantum-locked tractor beams to the powerless Draconian ships. Years of studying alien technology had taught humanity exactly how to neutralize it, and now they were reaping the benefits of their patience and preparation. In his flagship, Admiral Drake stood in the emergency-lit bridge, watching helplessly as human ships surrounded his vessel. "How?" he whispered. "How could a Class 3 Deathworld species defeat the Empire's finest fleet?" General Thompson's voice came through on all frequencies, broadcasting to every Draconian ship, "You made the mistake of judging us by what we showed you. You saw our harsh world and assumed we were primitive survivors. Instead, we're warriors who turned every challenge our death world presented into a weapon. Your surrender will be accepted within the next 5 minutes, or we'll demonstrate why Earth's greatest defense isn't our technology, it's our determination to survive." The galaxy was about to learn a crucial lesson: never underestimate a species that had conquered a death world, because they didn't just survive there, they had learned to dominate it. Admiral Drake stood in the observation room of the Rocky Mountain Command Center, his scaled hands bound by quantum shackles that negated any attempt at resistance. Through the reinforced windows, he watched as human forces systematically secured the last of his fleet's vessels. The mighty Draconian Armada, pride of the Empire, now floated powerless in Earth's orbit. "Your Empire has conquered 17 worlds," General Thompson said, standing beside the captured admiral. "We've already sent messages to each of them, using your own communication protocols. Would you like to know what we told them?" Drake's throat scales rippled with suppressed emotion. "You're going to free them," he said quietly, finally understanding the full scope of humanity's plan. "Better." The general activated a holographic display, showing real-time footage from across the galaxy. "We're going to teach them. Everything we've learned about surviving on harsh worlds, all our advancements in technology, our understanding of quantum mechanics and gravity manipulation, we're sharing it all." In the Australian Command Center, Major Wilson coordinated with the captured scout ship's crews. Unlike the Draconians' brutal conquest methods, humanity had chosen a different path. The captured soldiers were treated with respect, their injuries tended to, while being shown the truth about Earth's capabilities. "Your bioscans were right about one thing," Major Wilson explained to Captain Reed, who sat stunned in a comfortable interrogation room. "Earth is a death world by your standards. But that's precisely why you should have been more cautious. Every single thing that makes our world deadly helped forge us into who we are. Meanwhile, in orbit, Captain Rogers supervised the integration of captured Draconian technology with human systems. The Thunder Child had docked with the Eternal Flame, and engineering teams were already learning everything they could about the alien vessels. Their technology isn't actually superior to ours, she reported to General Thompson. It's just different. They focused on brute force approaches, while we developed more elegant solutions. Combining both could revolutionize space travel. In the command center's main hall, the Global Defense Council had convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation watched as data streamed in from the liberated worlds. The Draconian Empire was collapsing not through violence, but through the spread of knowledge. This was never just about defending Earth, General Thompson explained to Drake. We knew the Empire would come eventually. We spent decades preparing not just to defeat you, but to transform the galaxy. Every world you conquered will now have access to the same technology we developed. Your empire won't be destroyed, it will be obsolete. Drake watched as more holographic displays showed the rapid changes taking place. Former slave species were already implementing Earth's gravity manipulation technology. Quantum communication networks were being established between liberated worlds. The carefully maintained hierarchy of the Draconian Empire was dissolving in the face of shared knowledge and cooperation. Why? Drake finally asked. Why not just destroy us? Take revenge for our attempted conquest? Major Wilson, who had joined them in the command center, answered. Because that's the difference between a species that just survives on a death world and one that learns from it. We could have developed weapons that would have annihilated your fleet. Instead, we created technologies that could capture it intact, preserve life, and give us the opportunity to turn enemies into allies. General Thompson nodded. Earth taught us that survival isn't just about being the strongest or most aggressive. It's about adaptation, innovation, and most importantly, cooperation. Your empire saw our harsh world as a weakness. We turned it into our greatest teacher. The message was clear: humanity wasn't just another spacefaring species. They were Death World survivors who had transformed their harsh environment into a crucible for advancement. And now, they were ready to share those lessons with the galaxy, creating something far more powerful than any empire, a community of worlds united by shared knowledge and mutual respect. 1 month after the failed invasion, Earth's orbital space had transformed. The captured Draconian vessels now served as makeshift academies, where representatives from former Empire worlds came to learn from humanity. The Eternal Flame, once the flagship of conquest, had become a symbol of transformation. Commander Stone stood on the vessel's observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. Unlike Admiral Drake, who remained under guard, Stone had volunteered to assist in the transition. He found himself increasingly amazed by the humans' approach to technology and problem-solving. Your species continues to surprise me, he said to Captain Rogers, who had become his frequent companion during the knowledge exchange. We thought Earth's gravity made it impossible to develop advanced space flight. Instead, you developed gravity manipulation technology that makes our engines look primitive. Rogers smiled, checking the data on her quantum tablet. That's because you tried to overcome gravity. We learned to work with it, just like every other challenge our world presented. Today's lesson should interest you. We're covering how we adapted our planet's magnetic field into a planetary defense system. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Thompson hosted a delegation from one of the Empire's former frontier worlds. The reptilian aliens, physically similar to the Draconians but smaller, watched in awe as humans demonstrated their hidden technologies. Your world, one delegate asked, it's even harsher than ours. How did you advance so quickly without destroying yourselves? Because Earth taught us the most important lesson, Major Wilson explained, having joined the briefing. Survival isn't about individual strength, it's about collective adaptation. Every time our world challenged us, we came together to find solutions. That's why we didn't just develop weapons, we developed ways to protect, heal, and improve life. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Thunder Child led a mixed fleet of human and converted Draconian ships on their first joint training exercise. The vessels moved in perfect formation, demonstrating how the two different technological approaches could complement each other. All ships, execute Maneuver Epsilon, Captain Rogers ordered. The fleet responded as one, using human gravity manipulation combined with Draconian power systems to perform moves that would have been impossible for either species alone. Admiral Drake, watching from his secured quarters, finally began to understand. "We thought we were strong because we could conquer," he said to his guards. "But you're strong because you can adapt. Evolve. Transform." The transformation wasn't limited to military technology. Earth's medical advances, developed to cope with their harsh environment, were revolutionizing healthcare across former Empire worlds. Their environmental management systems, created to handle Earth's extreme conditions, were helping terraform worlds previously thought uninhabitable. In Australia, Major Wilson coordinated with a global team of scientists as they prepared to share perhaps humanity's greatest achievement, artificial gravity manipulation that could turn death worlds into habitable paradises. The Empire classified worlds based on their habitability, she explained to a group of alien scientists. "We're going to help you reshape those worlds instead. Every harsh environment is just an opportunity waiting to be transformed." General Thompson stood in his office, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. Former Empire worlds were already forming new alliances, sharing resources and knowledge in ways the Draconians had always forbidden. Earth's example had sparked not just a technological revolution, but a cultural one. "We've received another dozen requests for learning exchanges," his aide reported. "More worlds want to send their people to train with us. They're calling Earth the Crucible now, the world that forges strength through adversity." The general nodded, remembering the tense days before the invasion. They had gambled everything on their plan, not just to defeat the Empire, but to transform it. Now, watching the results unfold, he knew they had chosen correctly. "Send word to all stations," he ordered. "Begin Phase 3 of the integration protocol. It's time to show the galaxy that the greatest power doesn't come from conquest, it comes from cooperation. Earth isn't just a death world anymore, it's becoming the galaxy's greatest teaching center." 6 months after the failed invasion, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Great Hall of the newly established Galactic Exchange Council, built in orbit around Earth, hosted representatives from over 50 worlds, former Empire territories and independent planets alike. They gathered to witness a historic moment. Admiral Drake, no longer in restraints, stood before the assembled delegates. His once proud military uniform had been replaced by the simple robes of a Draconian scholar. Behind him, Commander Stone and Captain Rogers sat together, symbols of the unexpected friendship that had grown between the former enemies. For centuries, the Draconian Empire classified worlds by their habitability, Drake addressed the council. "We saw harsh worlds as obstacles to be avoided or primitives to be conquered. Today, I stand before you to officially dissolve what remains of the Empire and propose something new, the Galactic Alliance of Adaptive Species." General Thompson, seated with the Earth delegation, watched with satisfaction. The plan they had set in motion had exceeded even their most optimistic projections. Humanity's approach to surviving on a death world had become a template for civilization itself. "Earth's greatest gift to us wasn't their technology," Drake continued, his voice carrying genuine emotion. "It was their perspective. They showed us that the challenges that make a world deadly can forge a species into something remarkable. Every death world is a crucible of evolution, innovation, and advancement." In the Australian Command Centre, now transformed into the primary training facility for off-world species, Major Wilson guided a group of alien students through a simulation of Earth's gravity manipulation systems. Your worlds all face different challenges, she explained. Some have crushing gravity, others corrosive atmospheres, or extreme temperature variations. But remember, we didn't just survive these conditions. We learned from them, adapted to them, and ultimately mastered them. Now it's your turn. The Thunder Child, under Captain Rogers' command, led a mixed fleet of vessels on a mission to contact other Deathworld species that the Empire had previously avoided. Each ship carried teams of human and alien scientists, ready to share knowledge and learn from new perspectives. Survival isn't about domination, Rogers transmitted to her fleet. It's about adaptation, innovation, and cooperation. Every harsh world we discover is another opportunity to learn, to grow, to evolve. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Thompson reviewed the latest reports with his international colleagues. Earth's hidden technologies were being systematically shared across the galaxy, but more importantly, their methodologies and philosophies were spreading even faster. The Draconians thought they were invading a primitive death world, he mused. Instead, they found the birthplace of a galactic renaissance. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Drake reached the conclusion of his address. Let the record show that the last official act of the Draconian Empire is this: we acknowledge Earth not as a death world, but as our teacher. Their harsh planet didn't make them weak, it made them ingenious. It didn't make them primitive, it made them innovative. It didn't make them victims, it made them survivors. Commander Stone stood to make the formal declaration: the Galactic Alliance of Adaptive Species is hereby established, with Earth as its founding member and primary teaching center. Let all worlds, whether gentle or harsh, unite in the pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and mutual advancement. As the declaration was approved with unanimous consent, General Thompson reflected on how far they had come. Humanity had not only defended their death world, they had transformed the very meaning of the term. Earth was no longer seen as a harsh backwater to be conquered or avoided. It had become a beacon of hope, innovation, and advancement for the entire galaxy. The Draconian Fleet's fatal mistake hadn't just been underestimating humanity's technology or preparation. Their greatest error was failing to understand that true strength doesn't come from conquering the harsh conditions of a death world, it comes from learning from them, adapting to them, and using those lessons to forge a better future for all. As the council chamber erupted in celebration, the message was clear: the age of empire was over. The age of adaptation, cooperation, and shared advancement had begun. And it all started because one species had the audacity to not just survive on their death world, but to thrive on it.